Fred Lemke, welcome to Mueller Time.
Hey Eric, how are you? Thanks for
What's up?
having me.
Hey man, so you just brought up the actually before we get into that, you want to just tell
Mhm.
people who you are? Uh,
Yeah, so I'm a government and history teacher in Hermosa Beach at a private high school, and I was in the music business for years, but I decided I wanted to move on from that and go back to teaching, which I actually studied in college. And uh, it's challenging, as you can imagine, to be a government teacher. These last few years, it's been incredible. So.
uh, you right before we started recording, you brought up today's Manafort filing. So since you follow this stuff so closely, what were you going to tell me about that?
Well, I was just curious, actually, your take on it. So nothing about Russia is mentioned. There's Ukraine, obviously, and Manafort filing,
Mm,
not filing as a foreign actor of a foreign agent, right?
yeah.
Um, but I was curious to see what your take was. I didn't read the whole thing, but I skimmed through it,
Well, it is
and
800 pages.
yeah. So I think I got to page 20 and just scanning it. But well, I was curious to hear what you thought and how much you got into it.
Yeah, I was skimming through it too, man. I mean, it was the biggest thing I took away right now is that I mean, it definitely just lays out that he's a career criminal.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be the point they were trying to make, like he's the worst criminal they've ever seen with no I mean, with no redeeming qualities. They made a point to say that.
Yeah, they did.
Uh the I read through as much as I could, like we said, it is 800 pages.
Right.
But I think most of that is like exhibits and things that I mean the important stuff is really about 25 pages.
Right.
Um Yeah, I mean, it definitely lays out a lot of his criminal exploits, but I just find myself staring at the redacted portions and just wondering,
I
like,
know.
what?
I know. Some of it they did release some redacted stuff, but it was all just like saying what a douchebag he was, basically. Right? Like
one
saying what a criminal he was.
one of my favorite words. Yeah. Well, you listen to the show, so you know. I mean, that's the cool thing about podcasting. There's
Yeah.
no censorship, right?
Right. What podcasts do you listen to beyond obviously doing your own?
Well, you know, it's funny. Like, I think because I do spend so much time on our own, like, I don't listen to too many podcasts, but when I do, I like Intercepted, uh,
Okay.
with Jeremy Scahill.
I
Uh,
love Jeremy Scahill. Yeah.
you know, Mueller She Wrote, of course,
Uh-huh.
because we covered a similar ground. Oh, what is those guys from Mother Jones, or David Isikoff,
Yeah, yeah.
Michael Isikoff, excuse me.
Michael
That's one.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, man?
I listen to Sam Harris. I listen to the different Vox podcasts, like
Uh,
The Weeds, just for political stuff. I mean, obviously,
uh,
I teach it, so I mean that's kind of the problem that I've had for the last few years.
yeah,
Is that I have to watch the news constantly
yeah,
because the kids, I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them, they know what's going on, obviously.
yeah,
And if I'm not up to date on it, so that's kind of how this whole snowball thing happened with me. Is just like from the escalator ride. I think I mentioned that to you in an
yeah,
email.
yeah.
It's just been this nightmare, and I have to watch it, and then
Right.
so it's this strange sort of I have to watch it, but now I'm kind of addicted to it,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be, but I have to be. It's a very strange situation to be in. So
It's a car wreck, right?
it's not. Honestly, I mean, I obviously was very young during Watergate, like
Sure.
like a baby, but um, I just I can't believe this. Like I honestly every day I think am I insane? Like
Yeah.
is this am I just by you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the
You,
situation we find ourselves in.
and you're not. I mean, the they're the ones who are insane, and I feel that because I think that they know, and I think as most people do, you sort of know who you are. I think deep in their heart, like most bad people, they know that they're trash,
Yeah.
and so that's the only weapon they have is gaslighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that exactly. That's all they have, and they've been doing it.
Yeah.
Well, Trump started it, and now these the far right stuff.
Right.
They know that they can't win the argument.
No.
So you saw the Tucker Carlson thing, right? With the Danish guy.
Right. And for those of you guys who didn't see it, Fred is talking about an interview that Tucker Carlson did with, is his name Rutger? What's that
Yeah,
guy?
I think so. I'm bad with the
So
European names, but
this guy was at Davos,
yeah.
and this guy did a video that went viral because he he was on stage and he said, "Look, all this stuff that's going on in this world is about taxes. Rich people don't pay enough." And
Right.
that, because of the way he said it, it went viral. Anyway, cut to if you want to tell people what happened there on the
Well,
Tucker Carlson.
Well, Tucker Carlson gets on there. He has this whole thing where he brought up. I don't know it exactly, but I heard it on Vox. He's like trying to be like the man of the people suddenly, right? And
Right.
like, yeah, the rich, the elites, and all that stuff. So he has this guy on to try to, like, I guess, pat himself on the back or something. Look, I have the guy that told the people at Davos that they're not paying enough taxes, whatever. So the guy calls him out. He
Right.
basically says, look, you're a millionaire. Everybody at Fox News is a millionaire. You're being paid by billionaires. And you're basically full of shit, is what
Right.
he's telling the guy. And then Carlson does what all these right-wing guys do. Everybody from like my Facebook page to people chime in and
Uh-huh.
spew their lies, whatever. So he knows he can't win the argument, so he just calls the guy a moron and tells him to fuck off and all this stuff. And that's what they do. It's the gaslighting.
Yeah.
It's they've learned it from Trump, or I don't know, whoever else. I guess it's been a slow moving coup. But they've learned that I can't win the argument, so I'll just say you're a liar, or you're insane, or you're dumb. They love that one. You're tiny brain. They love that, and that's what he did. And it was and the guy called him out. It was beautiful.
Yeah, what was interesting was in the beginning of that interview, there's sort of like, surprisingly, Tucker Carlson is agreeing with him. He's like, yeah, billionaires, and then I was like, where's this going? Because I knew what had happened, that they got into an argument. And then I noticed that the guy, who again I don't remember his name, it definitely is like Rutger or something. It's like a Dutch name. It seemed like he was intentionally trying to provoke him, which is that's part of that line of work, or this line of work. Like I've been across from people like that. You don't start calling them a moron and freaking out unless there's some kind of grand strategy. Like to be that easily provoked was. I could tell the wheels were grinding in Tucker Carlson's head, where he definitely made a decision like, I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to go off on this guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The guy even said it. He even said,
yeah,
you're not going to air this.
Right.
Well, the history of Tucker Carlson, sort of his like rise to Fox News propaganda baloney.
More or less, but if you want to elaborate, I mean.
Well, I saw a video that pretty much traced his career, and the guy's like from totally. There's nothing wrong with being from a rich background. But all my kids, all the students I teach, their families are wealthy as they come. But just the hypocrisy of being anti-elite or whatever he is, whatever he wants to call himself, and his rise has just been like douchey. Journalist, got lucky. They needed to do an interview about the OJ thing. Did you hear about?
Oh, really?
This?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how he got. Like, and he was having lunch, and we need a spot. We need a spot. Do you know anything about OJ? He's like, no, but he did it anyway, and that was kind of like the beginning. And then eventually now to today, kind of took over Bill O'Reilly's spot, right?
Yeah, I read a story that was of someone who said that they thought in the beginning. That he had promise, especially as a writer. This person, I forget who it was, but they praised his writing. This is not a conservative, and they just were shocked by the direction he's gone. To me, I think he's just an opportunist. I think he just he went where the money is.
Yeah,
which is pathetic. Exactly. I mean, not pathetic because that's part of the human condition for everybody, but you could still make a lot of money and not become a white supremacist.
I know, it's amazing. It's amazing. Well,
wow.
I mean. There was something else that he was involved in with the whole, like, all this slut shaming that these guys do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of how he got his name out there. He and his brother had something going on. I don't remember exactly.
Oh, yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's just what these guys do. But like you said, it's incredible. Like, does money really mean that much to you? That you'll sacrifice your soul, your country? It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, we saw him at the last. Do you know what Politicon is? It's like have you ever been?
I've never been. No.
You'd like it. It's a lot of fun, and it's obviously close by.
Right.
We saw him. He walked past Chris and I in kind of like the VIP area, like the media area where we were hanging out, and Chris was like, "Oh, should we go talk to him?" And I was like, uh, like, I know I'm supposed to because I might get something cool, but I'm always like, really, no, not really.
Yeah.
Plus, there's all
No.
these like big guards and stuff, and like I know what's gonna happen. Like, so like in certain situations, you kind of like you play it by ear. But I was like, no, like they're just gonna eject us, and then we might have to leave this thing entirely. So
Right.
the same thing happened actually the year before with Roger Stone,
And
where
the Young Turks guy.
no, I mean like with us, like
Oh, you guys.
Chris was like, that's Roger Stone. And I was like, oh, wow. And then Chris started to go, and this bodyguard was like, no. And like, he actually like, there was like some like contact. And,
Wow.
and I was like, I'm sure enough where if we wanted to make a big deal about it, like, you can't touch somebody without their permission. That's an assault. But it was like not, Chris was like, whatever. But yeah, that was weird seeing Roger Stone in person.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, that guy, you've seen the documentary,
I
obviously.
have. I have, yes.
I mean, that guy from the whole what was, do you remember Nixon? There was somebody who was going to challenge Nixon uh, for some, I don't know, it was a Republican challenger. So Stone goes to the guy's campaign and gives like this huge jar full of pennies and says it's from the Young Socialists of America or whatever. So Nixon
wow.
so they had, this is the kind of stuff they did. And he was 19 years old when he did that.
Uh,
And like, so it came out in the paper, Socialist Fund, whatever the guy's name was. It's
right.
incredible. And that
Wow.
those are the dirty tricks. I mean, that's how the guy started. It's incredible.
Yeah. I guess it is interesting to see how I understand the dirty trickster thing. I'm sure you do too. But it's like at the point when someone becomes dangerous, it's weird how that narrative needs to be changed. Like this is a guy who's like shooting off weapons on with InfoWars, threatening to kill people. Like they need to portray him as what he is, which is a thug and a criminal.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
exactly.
I was very disappointed that he wasn't locked up after that stunt the other day.
Unbelievable.
Although the guy who like is kind of like our legal advisor was like, he told me what was going to happen. He's like, she's not going to lock him up. He's
Yeah.
going to get a severe warning. And I was like, I guess like when you're in the profession, you know that, but I think that looks really bad to the public.
Well, it's terrible. I mean, look what happened with this Coast Guard guy, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I mean, what do you say about that? Like, how is that even a possibility? I mean, with Trump and Stone and all these guys and Alex Jones and all these guys are just talking about civil war. I mean,
Right.
how do you respond to that? Like, what is our role? And you talked about that
Yeah.
a bit before. Is if you can talk to one person. I think you posted it on Facebook.
Yeah.
You're saying if you just talk to one person, and
Mhm.
but it has to be. And this brings me back to my students, because they don't. This is normal to them.
That's shocking.
This is all. Well, this is all they know.
Yeah.
They don't. They were too young with Obama,
Mhm.
so they don't know. To them, and I'm not trying to say they think, oh, this is fine behavior,
Right.
but it's just, this is all they know.
Yeah.
So that's again, that's why it's like him, like you were saying, him not getting put in jail for putting crosshairs.
Yeah. I mean, part of the criminal justice system is also sending a message to society. And there has to be a message, and also to these right-wing extremists who are extremely dangerous. And I think we're getting a better handle on some of them now, but at least they've been running wild for the last 5 years. I mean, these guys on Twitter calling in bomb threats. They got too much free reign.
Yeah.
There have to be, what's the point of having any criminal justice system? Roger Stone, he put a target up against a federal judge's head.
Who's hearing his case.
I mean, look, I don't know anything about being a lawyer or a federal judge. So every lawyer I talked to, like I said, was like, this is the response, but I don't think it looks very good.
No, it's a nightmare. I mean, I don't, I'm obviously not a lawyer either. I just teach government. But again, to the point, it's like we have a republic, right? So it's the public thing, the law. That's what we're based on. And it's just it seems to we either decide that we have laws,
right,
or we decide that we don't have laws, and there are different laws for different people depending on money or power or whatever.
And one of the I've taken some criminal justice, and one of the it seems like one of the principles that I learned from my teacher was that everyone is in some kind of constant state of like law breaking, like everybody, you jaywalk,
Sure.
whatever. So people judge what they can get away with. And so Roger Stone, hey, I can get away with it. And then
Yeah.
the next jackass sees that one of his fanboys or one of the Proud Boys or these guys are
Right.
like, oh, wow, okay. So, you know,
Yeah, it's amazing. And well, I think you hit on a really important thing there. I always wonder, what is the end game with these guys?
yeah.
Like, what? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What is the end game with Trump? I mean, what is going on here?
I think Trump, the end game is just, he's like the same guy he always was. The end game is just money and people telling him how great he is. He's probably more simple in that way. I mean, he still has the potential, obviously, to destroy the entire world, which is scary. But yeah, he's made no progress as a human. It's
No.
women, money, his and how he looks, like his ego.
Yeah.
These other guys like Stone, I've heard people call Stone an anarchist. That what they feed on is destruction.
Yeah.
Other than like I don't know, let's say Kavanaugh have more clear-cut principles. They're part of the radical right to transform this country into a fascist state. So.
Right. Exactly. But I again, back to your point.
Yeah.
They have gotten away with this stuff. I mean, look,
Right.
any research into Trump's past.
Right.
It's I mean, he was in the tabloids for years. They have gotten away with it for so long that they just, and he also, the guy is a certifiable narcissist. I mean, that's obvious, right? Like we know this. There's just no quit. Did you watch Bill Maher ever?
I love it. I haven't seen last night. I have it queued up, but yes, I love his show.
It's good. Well, he talks about that. The guy is, every single time somebody writes an article about Trump, it has to start off with certified narcissist, personality disorder. Donald Trump says. I mean, because the guy is just so. But beyond that, the end game, like what McConnell and these guys.
Right.
I mean, Ryan dropped out, right? And I think you mentioned the other day. You mentioned the other day that you'd forgotten about Ryan on one of the. I kind of had too, and that's what he wants, of course, right?
Yeah, I heard he might at some point want to run for president, so he was like, "Let me just get out of here for now," and I could actually see that happening because the way he kept his profile. I could see, and he's like a snake. I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then McConnell. I mean, I guess could he lose? Like what? Like could he lose his seat on the Senate?
I mean, he's just the most ruthless person to like ever be in American politics. And could he lose? I don't know much about his constituency there. They must be real pieces of work.
Covington High School. That's his constituency.
Is that really? I didn't know that.
Is it because that's in Kentucky, right? We're Tennessee, right?
He's Kentucky and
no, Covington's in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
So, you're right. Yeah, that would be. He's a state. He's a senator. That I kind of never thought about it like that. Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. Well, that speaking of Kentucky and Covington High. This $250 million lawsuit that these kids are what's the kid's name?
It's funny because I have something queued up for the show on Sunday about that. I can't remember the kid's name, but I will on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, $250 million is what the Washington Post was purchased for, right?
Yeah, we're gonna bring that up on Sunday along with the names because as you saw. They're suing, and he was talking about like suing Bill Maher. Like, so our show may not have as like big a audience as Bill Maher yet, but my feeling is like, if you're going down that road, then we playing our part. Oh, his name is Nick something, Nick Sandman. That's it.
Sandman, yeah, that's
so right. We're gonna blast your fucking name out there because they're going after our free speech.
Exactly.
His lawyer said, I'm gonna sue Bill Maher just for making a joke. Is that what we do here now?
Well, yeah, the orangutan thing with Trump. So he's taking. Yeah. My point is he's Trump, go Nick. Remember he said that in his stupid Twitler thing.
Yeah.
So obviously there's some coordination going on there, and I don't know how much McConnell has to do with it. But
there's a lot going on with that Covington High. That's part of the dark, like kind of right wing, because not only at first I was like, oh, he comes from the parents are kind of wealthy, they can fund the stuff, but then. This is too much going on for even like for a couple hooked up parents. I guarantee you that radical right they're
Oh,
putting
yeah.
in some work. They
Oh,
hired
yeah.
a PR firm.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's some they used to, it's funny, because these people, everything they say is true about themselves. They used to talk about the Clinton conspiracy, but it's really just a projection of
It
their own
is.
dark forces.
Exactly. Like the thing with this Epstein guy,
Oh yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I mean, the Trump's labor, the secretary,
Yeah.
let this guy broke a deal with or made a deal with this guy, and he got what, like 13 months in jail or something. And and they lied to the victims, saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're dealing with this. We'll handle it." It's the same thing. It's like, "Oh, well, the Clintons run a child sex
Right.
ring, right?" Well,
Right.
where'd you get that idea? You know?
That's I was going to tell you, I think it's, did you ever read I think it's Mehdi Hassan. I think that's how he says his
Yeah.
name. He has a superb column, and it was about how people normalize like Trump. And to what you said, they're like, why did that headline for his crazy press conference the other day not say disturbed man get, like, everyone's out there pretending like that was normal.
Right.
Like, it's a great column it's on the Intercept
I'll check
webpage.
it out. Yeah, isn't he's on is he on MSNBC?
He
Am I-
maybe occasionally, I think he's a British guy.
Yeah, yeah.
He went viral some time ago for a video showing how to properly question a Trump supporter. It was some guy on, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was a very good video. So I was going to ask you, being a Mueller Time listener, how did you hear about our show?
My friend Bill Wilner
Okay.
on Facebook, he and I talk a lot. He's a big Bernie supporter,
Oh,
as
yeah.
am I.
Huh?
And so we connected that. Actually, I think we connected initially through music. And then
Okay.
one day, out of the blue, he sent, trying to get me to add, he said, "You should check out this podcast." And he just sent me a message, and I found it and went to it. And I was hooked. I was driving up to Sonora to go see my parents, my mom and stepfather live up there. And it's like a 6-hour drive. And so I listened to a bunch of them and just,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So that's how I heard about it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's like I was telling you before we started recording, it's there's definitely a good book or something in just
Oh,
doing this thing every week.
yeah.
I really, I appreciate everybody who listens.
Yeah, man, it's great. I told you in the first email I sent you, you keep me sane.
Thanks,
It's
man.
like, because otherwise I'm like, am I crazy? Am I, is this really happening? And it's
Well,
amazing.
that's kind of why we started the show, and that's why, like, every week I'm like, some are more challenging than others in a lot of different ways, but I've been like, no, I'm doing this thing every week. There may come a week where I'm there by myself. That could happen. I'm still going to do it. Like, that's part of what resistance is, right? It's
Right.
like consistency.
Exactly. It's every day. It's like you might find yourself in a bunker, doing it, but whatever it takes, as you said.
One week, there was one time where I couldn't air the episode just for a variety of reasons. So had time crunch, called the guy I thought it would be good. I'm like, hey, can you be here in like 8 minutes? And it was great. And he's
Yeah.
been on a few of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it could be a bunker.
How did you hook up with the one with the guys who did the documentary about Trump and Russia?
Oh, with active measures.
Yeah. Yeah. That was great.
Oh, thanks. How did we, I started like a couple months ago. I was like this thing has been a slow expansion. Like at first, me and Chris would do 30 minutes every 2 weeks, and then it became an hour every week, and then we started. Then I was like, well, I want to do other things, so I started reaching out to people, and that's why I found Twitter was such a good thing. So
Yeah.
I just reached out to them.
That's cool.
I private messaged them, and then it took a little while, but they happened to be in LA for something.
Yeah.
So actually, that was tough though, man. I brought all the equipment over to their house.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
It was like it was stressful. It's
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
and
stressful.
you didn't even know, it's like
No, and that was funny too because I don't think they would get mad, but I think they might have been out like partying the night before because like it was definitely like that look.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm like, what's up? Like I pretty much look the same anyway, even if I've been out partying. So,
Right.
but I'm not like most people. So I could definitely see that look, and I was like, let's do
Yeah.
this. Ready? Active measures, baby. And they were like,
Yeah.
you can
No,
see like they were great. Yeah.
yeah, they were great. It was really good. Again, what draws me to your podcast
Oh,
is I guess you could say the authenticity of it.
oh, thanks, man.
And I really feel that, it's like, it's really important. And I wanted to ask you one thing
Yeah.
beyond that.
No.
Have you thought about putting music into your pod? Like because like all the other ones, they'll have like intro music or segue, whatever. Have you thought about that at all?
I have I have the like 30 seconds that it might be so quick that a lot of people don't hear it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's at the beginning and end, but I usually put it low in the beginning. I wrote that on Reason. If I don't, I have a music background too.
Oh, very cool.
But something more extended. Always open to ideas. Yeah. Well, you think I should?
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. Just again, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I just wondered if maybe you hadn't done it because of licensing or what. I mean, I'm not sure how that works. But
yeah, we have this quick little intro. I keep the volume low in the beginning, and then but yeah, maybe. I mean, it's possible. Hey, send something over.
Well, if you want stuff, just let me know. I got a buddy, and I've retired from music. I don't, but I've been working on this album for like 5 years.
Oh, nice.
like one song for 6 months, whatever. But if you ever want anything, just let me know. Again, I told you before, I just want to help. I just want to help any way I can.
No, it's a community thing. Yeah, I mean, we've we've had people reach out like this right now. Like that's because I reached out on the show and was like, hey, who wants to come on the show, and who wants to be on the YouTube page or whatever. Like, that's my goal, is to like build this thing up. You can't do anything alone, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what this whole thing is about. And it's the grassroots elements of it,
Even when we're looking for sponsors, like the way we got our first sponsor, I was like, I was doing it like traditional ways, like emails to companies. And I was like, wait a minute, I already have a platform. Right. So I'm like, on one show, I was like, hey, does anyone want to be a sponsor? And somebody reached out. So, I'm always conscious, like, you don't want to annoy people too much, but at the same time, like this shit does cost money and time, right? Like,
absolutely.
So,
yeah, the watch, right?
Yeah. That's an old buddy who started his own watch company. It's an awesome. I have it over there. It's an awesome company.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. But yeah, so again, man, anything. I just wanted to tell you once. There was one story I thought about telling you.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes to the idea of the gaslighting thing, and is this normal, and am I crazy? So during the election, right? Yeah. I hate to have to go back to 2016, but
not at all.
So during the election, we had a big meeting at the school. And it was after something that happened to me, which I'll tell you about that real quick too in a second. But the head of the school literally brought us all into a meeting and said, "Look, we all have to stop talking about the election. We have to we can't show any bias. You can't, and this is like in the height. This is like August before the election. And she's like, we have to keep it down. We can't bring it up." And I got really upset. Yeah. And I said, that doesn't sound fascist to me, but that sounds like censorship to me. Yeah. And I don't feel comfortable just pretending that this is normal, which is what she was asking, what the head of school was asking us to do. And, I went in after the meeting and I had a long talk with her, and I'm not like, I don't cry all the time. Sure. But I was brought to tears because she didn't know. She's I'm teaching government and politics. She didn't know what's going on. She maybe watched the news here and there, then I guess it was like 4 weeks, a month later, the whole grab 'em by the pussy thing tape came out. Yeah. She literally came to my classroom and said, "Say whatever you want." Wow. So so that so again, it's like it made me feel like I'm not crazy, right? But yeah, so
that was the boss or the administrator.
The head of the school came to me and she said, after that tape came out, she said, "Say whatever you want." And so I'm just wondering when this is going to happen. When is it going to be okay for to really call this guy a liar? The media doesn't do it that often.
What's weird too is like, and that's, by the way, that's a very interesting story that I'm probably going to ask you a little more about. But like, even if thinking as looking for the angles that can help you in your career, as I often do. What these guys don't get, whether you're a journalist or even a politician, aside from the rightness of calling them out, uh, that could catapult you to the next level. Look, everyone knows who Jim Acosta is now, whether you like him or not, because he has admirably a couple times stood up. So, and I mean, talk about, you want to be a presidential candidate, you face this guy down.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, not just like in a hearing, but I'm talking like if you get face to face and you face him down and we get that footage, you could be that guy like in the one who said, "Have you no decency?" That could be you.
Exactly.
Right to the head of the pack right away.
I was so disappointed because I thought Jeff Flake was going to kind of do something like that, but he got stared down the elevator and then he backed. Oh, well, let's give it a week, and and then they do this faux investigation into Kavanaugh.
Yeah,
I know. So we need
sad.
more.
Yeah, it's sad. As much as I've pretty much voted Democrat all my life, it is not good for one party to have too much power, and it is sad to me that what the Republican Party has come to.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible because for years and years and years, the Democrats ran the Congress.
Right.
I mean, from like the New Deal era until 1990s, it was mostly, I think there were like two situations where the Republicans had the majority, but the rest of it was all Democrat. So now it's come to this point where it's like all they care about is dialing for dollars and winning elections. How do you, if they try to compromise, if these guys try to make it, shake hands over the whatever, they're not going to get reelected.
Yeah.
That's no way to govern. How are we going to, how is there going to be compromise if if you compromise, you don't get reelected because, you're a commie sellout, whatever they say. So that's no way to govern. This is not just about Trump.
Right. No, he's definitely the symptom of the disease, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But what a symptom he is.
it's I've run out of things to think about this guy.
Yeah, my old thing when we started doing the show and what I was telling you about what we're going to do with the Covington and that Nick Sandman little puke on Sunday is that's part of coming from a comedy background. We are going to strike back. So we are going to mock these people week after week. But not in an annoying way, but just we're going to do, if I had the platform, I actually was trying to see how I could get press credentials and to the White House. I was like, why not? Yeah. And it's a complicated process, but I'm like, well, until then we had this podcast and we're going to put it out there and make some people laugh on the way home from work or whatever the fuck.
Right. No, it's
fuck it.
Again, man, you guys are doing something that there's got to be more. We need more of it, but I'm always waiting for your episode. I'm just
thanks, man.
Checking my pod app as it come out. But yeah, so just know that
Thanks, man.
I'm not, and I tell people about it and people listen to it. So
I appreciate that.
I'm going to spread you as much as possible.
I appreciate that. I know it's like any show. It's got its ups and downs, but that means a lot to me. I mean,
yeah.
And I'm only going to be building it up this year too. Like you saw the active measures, that took time to get to that kind of level where we could.
Right.
We reached out to a few people. I got a few well-known people that I'm coming on.
Very cool. Did you were mentioning something? There was something you had followed listeners in. Was it Norway or where you were saying?
I think we did have some there, and then Sweden has a bunch, and then Ghana. I'm like,
be careful because who knows what's going on.
The second biggest city behind Los Angeles is Accra, Ghana.
Oh my God, really?
And multiple times I've reached out. I'm like, look, I'm just curious. If you're listening to this, can you reach out to me? I think one person maybe, but basically I don't know if. I mean, it's just funny. No one has. I'm like, please, I want to know who you are.
Is Eric Prince having meetings there or something like that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know there were two plays in the Seychelles. One time I saw.
Really?
Yeah, I swear to God, I'm like,
oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, podcast analytics are still in there. It's kind of it's still in the 50s, I think, for there's still a long ways to go people are listening.
Sure, that's
And
cool. Do you listen to Larry Wilmore? Because I know you're a comedy writer.
I do like Larry Wilmore. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good. It's called Black something. Let's see.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm
cool.
talking about? It's called.
I've heard about it. Yeah, he's got a podcast.
Yeah, he's super. He had Madeleine Albright on
Oh, wow, cool.
about right, about her book about fascists, like the rise of fascism.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance, listen to that. It's called Black on the Air.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been interesting, like whoever I'm sitting across, whether it be you or someone else, or like I've done the last couple episodes with Mel. So you talk about different things, like Mel growing up in LA as a black man in America. You've seen we talk about other stuff, but it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I love Wilmore.
Yeah, his show, the nightly show, is that what it was called?
Yeah, that was it. The one on Comedy Central.
Yeah, and that was all through the election. It was and he had Bernie on. So I keep bringing up Bernie, but I'm a huge,
No, look, I mean, I don't have too many regrets, but I always think you should learn from them. So I learned from the last election. I did erroneously think that Hillary Clinton had a better chance against Trump. Obviously, I was wrong. In hindsight, I think Bernie would have won the election, which is
so do I.
Provides me with a lot of personal angst.
Yeah,
as a Jewish guy, it's like our first Jewish president.
Yeah,
but whatever, I learned from it. So how do you think his chances are in this one?
I think he's going to win.
Really?
I mean, he raised $6 million in the first day. And wow. I mean, Kamala Harris, look, again, I will vote for my cat. I always say this over Trump, of course. And I'll vote for Kamala Harris. Cory Booker. I got my problems with all of them.
Sure, of course.
But Kamala Harris let Mnuchin off the hook when she was AG here in California with Bank One West.
I vaguely know about that. I don't know enough to comment on it.
During the recession, he bought up 85, put it this way, 85,000 families lost their homes to One West, and that was Mnuchin's company. And it got brought up, and everybody on her team wanted to charge this guy, and she let him off the hook. And that really upsets me.
Do we know why? I mean, was it just
no? She won't answer. Look it up. I've searched. There's The Intercept actually has a good article about how she still has not explained that. So give it a chance.
I guess we could apply the same criticism too. I mean, just to be fair to Obama, didn't exactly come down too hard on those bankers either.
No, he didn't. And Eric Holder talked about it, and what he said was he was interviewing with Ezra Klein, and he said, and Ezra Klein asked him, he said, "Hey, why did one person go to jail? What?" And he said that they had a policy that if they didn't have a more than 50% chance of taking people down, of prosecuting, then that the attorney general, they don't do it. The DOJ doesn't do it. So,
yeah, I will say, like I said a couple times on the show, this field of candidates, though, it's going to be like the best. I mean, I'm excited. Like,
me too.
There's only like maybe one that I'm like, no, like just flat out, I'm not into you. But everyone, these people are great. I mean, when I heard Bernie jumped in, I'm like, I see a lot of, we're all on social media. I've seen a lot of angst about things involving.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, if you want to, I don't care who it is, even Howard Schultz. It's like, we can't blame all our problems on other people. Okay. Right. If you don't want Howard Schultz to be a problem, then run a better campaign.
Right.
I'm not saying I agree with, I understand the danger of a third party. I remember Ralph Nader, but run a better campaign.
Right. You can't blame the candidates. You blame the book. It's up to us.
Right.
I don't like the blaming candidates thing.
And the thing with Bernie too, I'm like, this guy almost won. From his perspective, what would you do? Like, he's how old is he? He's
77.
Right. It's not going to last forever. Like, from his perspective, this is the moment.
That's it. Yeah.
If he wants to run, then he's going to run.
Right. And, well, it's interesting. Bernie's the only sitting senator who was part of the civil rights. He's the last one, part of the civil. I mean, you've seen the pictures of him getting arrested. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. It's very powerful.
And he's been saying the same thing. Everybody always says this, but it's true. He's been saying the same thing since he was a mayor. This is what Bernie wants.
Yeah.
Bernie wants to bring back the New Deal. Now I got my problems with FDR, and it's complicated. But the tax policy from 1930 or 28 or whatever, or 29 until 1985 was between 91 and 50%. It didn't even go to 50% until 1985 with Reagan, right? But the highest tax bracket was averaged about 77% on the highest
Right.
income. And that's all Bernie's looking at is those kind of policies that actually made America have a strong middle class. I mean, that's what he's looking at.
And I noticed, I mean, virtually every other candidate is adopting some similar policies.
Yeah. He pushed it.
That's great. It's great news.
And AOC and the whole thing. It's so. But again, I just want the guy gone. I don't care if Trump goes to jail. I don't care if I just want him gone.
Right.
Know?
That's what
life.
That's what. Yeah. Right. That's what I keep saying too. Like, I don't want him to be in the next election. It's a safety issue. It's like if some crazy. It's like literally like in your neighborhood. If there's a neighborhood menace or something.
Yeah.
Like. That's what I'm so concerned about. Yeah. He's a menace in that office. Even as much as I don't like Mike Pence, I'd rather have him in there in an interim.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the nuclear codes quite as much, right?
Right. Well,
except for that he wants the end of the world.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I agree.
It's like pick your poison.
Yeah, it is. But again, I don't think Pence would be elected. Well, if he takes over, it would take. I don't know what it would take that guy's not going to get elected.
No, he made a calculated bet, which I could see from his perspective, and he's going to lose. I know what the bet was. The bet was that something would happen and he would leave office and Pence would become president.
Yeah.
That was definitely the bet.
Well, so one question for you.
Yeah.
One more question for you.
Oh.
So it's the whole idea. I think you've talked about this many times, but why the reason that the Republicans in the Senate and the House stick with Trump, and the reason he's got a 90% approval rating by Republican. Now, of course, the party's shrinking, right? We know that.
Yeah.
So, but I'm interested to hear your take, because what are the takes are? Well, the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate and the House don't want to upset his base. They don't want to get attacked on Twitter, all this stuff. I think it's something far more nefarious than that. But I'm curious to hear your take on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. It seems to me like it's two things. One, their base seems to embrace him and they're worried about losing but yes, I think that Russia and other governments control that party basically. And it is nefarious. I mean, if Russia owns the NRA, which they pretty much do, what else don't we know? They gave the NRA $30 million and they funneled it in. It's everywhere. It's like cancer. It's everywhere in that party. I mean, it's crazy. Like you've seen the pictures, like this fucking like Russian spy with everybody. She's like,
incredible.
They're just. Why is Devin Nunes, who previously was unknown to everybody, including me, why is he flying all over the world looking like a guy who just did something really bad?
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, the RNC was hacked as well.
Right.
And I never hear them brought up that often by the mainstream, or by I watch MSNBC mostly, and I can't. I think you mentioned that you actually make yourself watch the other network.
Sometimes I do. Yeah, Fox. Yeah.
I've tried. I can't. My wife loses her shit if I put that on, so I don't. But anyway,
Nice.
But it's incredible because they got hacked too. But that stuff hasn't come up for the most part. That has not come down. I mean, you saw Lindsey Graham's sudden shift after that golf game with Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I absolutely believe. I mean, come on. We know that Trump is on the guy's probably on like hundreds of videotapes from other countries too.
Yeah.
This guy's such a moron. The one time, the way I knew that he was really on tape with Compromat is that I heard him in one of those interviews. He's like, he said something like, "Oh yeah, you don't." They tape everybody. They tape You don't want to stay there, and that's code for I know I've been taped because I'm an idiot.
Oh yeah. And then he dropped that last night. They were. I saw Chris Hayes. I was watching Chris Hayes, and they showed him saying there's no collusion. There's no that, and he says, and there were no phone calls.
Yeah.
Like what the
dumbest stupid Watergate, man. Dumbest criminal ever. I know. It's like a Law and Order where the guy admits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
In broad daylight, he's been doing this, and that's kind of been a thing going around lately. People are talking about how, in the media's been talking a lot about how he's doing this stuff in broad daylight. So it's almost like people are like just numb to it. And I'm not really talking about the normalization of it. I'm just talking about the fact that they're like, well, this can't possibly be illegal. He's doing it in broad daylight.
Right. He looked into a television camera and was like, Russia, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, this is why your podcast makes me feel sane, because I can't believe it.
Yeah, I think, like, I mean, I know I woke up the day after the election and I was like, this guy, like, this guy's just a punk. Like, he's a dirtbag. Like, I was like, we're not going down because of this guy.
I know.
If we're gonna go down, it's not, no.
Like, I know. Well, yeah, we're reality TV is is our zeitgeist now. You know, yeah. I mean, not for guys like you and I. I mean, and there's lots of people that are smart enough to, but I'm just talking about that chunk of America. You know, the 77,000 votes that won him that election. You know,
I think the biggest disservice is when people are dishonest. Like, in other words, what the voters need, Trump voters, is just a reality check. People respect the truth more, especially in this country. They always talk about, I like you if you tell the truth. Just if I'm around one of these people, I'm not rude to them, but I'm like, look, you got played. And, if the Democrats want to win, they need to adapt that strategy. Just be upfront with people.
Italy went through something. Italy went through something similar to this a number of years. And now they've got a bunch of problems too. Yeah. But the way that they beat that guy, I can't remember the guy's name. Do you know what I'm talking about? He was like kind of like a Trump.
Silvio Berlusconi, I think.
That's the guy, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
So the way they beat him was by ignoring him.
Oh, interesting.
And talking about policy and focusing on that. And that's why I think Bernie's going to win, because I think that's what Bernie's going to do. I mean, he's strong against Trump, obviously. Uh-huh. But I think that he'll focus more on policy, and I think any Democrat would be served well to just focus on healthcare and the environment. And though I guess that's a little, I don't know. What do you think about the environment thing? I mean, I know we agree with it, but
sure.
But in regards to the politicians handling that,
I think you mean like the Green New Deal, or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, because there's a part of the country that's like, this is a Chinese hoax.
I think like my general philosophy is like, since that is a radical small minority, we just need to focus on just telling the truth. That it's the most important issue. No planet. Yes. I think that's a big mistake that in general Democrats make. It's like, it's really, that goes back to worrying about when in life, when someone doesn't like you and wanting them to like you. Yeah. That's a human quality that some people have. And then people like me, I couldn't give a shit if somebody doesn't like, are you kidding me? Like maybe like on a small level, but not on like a big level.
Right.
Like that's what's so crazy about this. If they believe it's a Chinese hoax, then you say, I wish you the best. Yeah. And then you work on the 80% of people coming out to vote for you.
Right. Yeah. And again, to the point of, I really, if they focus on policy, I think that this will, and he's not going to go away, but.
And my understanding is that most studies have shown that most Americans support liberal environmental policies, progressive, even if they don't always say it or realize it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Michael Moore talks a lot about how we actually have a very progressive nation. Right. If you look at the polling, we really do. It's just, it's like the whole, the forest voting in the axes over and over again. It's like, what's going on with that? Well, messaging, I suppose.
Right. Well, that's big. I've tried to like pitch myself. I'm like, the messaging is just, I don't get why the Democrats have such a problem.
Yeah.
There should be commercials running all the time about how bad Trump is, even if it's negative advertising. Just where are the commercials with this guy who's obviously, I don't know if he's on drugs or not, but he looks to me like somebody, I went to a private college. I know what someone who's addicted to Adderall looks like. Yeah. And what I saw the other day was somebody who's doing Adderall or some amphetamine.
Right.
Just, I mean, come on, like.
It's obvious.
Use this stuff. I mean, I could cut a 30-second ad real quick.
Especially if you have, especially since Citizens United has allowed these PACs to put money in. So I hate Citizens United, but take advantage of it
Use
because
it,
they're
yeah.
going to, you know.
It's like a street fight, you know, which ironically, so that's the name of a documentary that about Cory Booker's first run
Uh-huh.
for office. It's called Street Fight,
Yeah.
and you'd really like it.
Yeah,
And
you
that's
talked about it when you're
oh, I
yeah.
did, yeah. It's like bare knuckle politics. It's not fair.
Jackhammering.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Sharp James, the mayor, set up a construction crew, and every day destroyed the sidewalk.
That's Chris
And
Christie stuff. Unbelievable.
yeah, I I really am interested though. I want to ask you, like, I mean, what is it like to teach government and politics now? Like,
Well, again, the focus that I have
yeah,
is to show them that this is not normal.
okay,
I use the Spiro Agnew stuff. I use the Nixon stuff. I use the Iran Contra stuff. You know, Bush burying that stuff with this Barr guy, who's the new AG for, you know. I show video constantly of that stuff. I show the Woodward and Bernstein stuff. I show all the president's men.
okay.
I mean, I think there's a group of people at the school that think I'm nuts, but I am
They're nuts.
overwhelmingly well, yeah, I'm overwhelmingly letting them know this is not normal, and that's what I do. And then I push, you know, my progressive bias constantly.
Do you have the flexibility to do that as a teacher, or I mean, I know that, yeah,
I didn't until until Trump got elected.
Yeah,
and then it was like, also I've been there for 9 years. That's not that long, but they leave me alone now. But
yeah.
For a while there, like I said, because you know they weren't, nobody was used to it. No, this is not normal, you know. So people reacted the way they reacted. The head of school reacted the way she reacted. Their students react the way they react. But I just again, it's to let them know this is not normal. This is not the way it's supposed to be. This is not what well, we can get into the whole founders thing. I'm not going to go there, but again, they did not want to be ruled by a king. Well, maybe Hamilton, but the anti-federalists did not want this to happen. Have you read any of those anti-federalist papers?
Not too much.
Check
probably
those out. Check out 67.
Okay.
It's about Trump, basically.
Really?
It's like, look, this president that you put in this constitution, this is too much power. He controls the military. So you should read 67 if you get a chance. You'll be shocked. You'll be like, wow, they predicted this shit.
I will. It seems like there isn't enough time in the day, right, to read all this stuff.
I'm lucky I get paid to teach it, because otherwise I'd probably be. Have you seen that? I think it was Funny or Die, where they have the guy who's addicted to watching the Trump thing.
I didn't see that.
He loses his job. I'll send a link to it. It's hilarious. The guy, like,
me.
Yeah, he loses his job. His family has an intervention because he won't stop. You know, he's like, it's incredible. If you get a chance,
Trump has created jobs for all these lawyers and people who have become great pundits that we all like on TV.
Yeah, he has.
It's a golden age of truth telling in some ways for people like us.
I know, and it worries me because there's two sides of that sword, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the media going to do when Trump goes away?
Yeah, I've been trying to think about, like, I don't know. I really want to take our thing into like TV, and I feel like there's a golden opportunity for some kind of show that's just like, we don't need any more shows about going into the fucking Midwest and at some diner and all that bullshit. No disrespect to anybody.
No, but
we need to go into South LA or just all around, or the suburbs where I grew up, or anything. The obsession with the forgotten white voter is, I mean, how sick of it are you?
Well,
enough.
They now they know what it's like. You know, I always say that. Now they know what it's like to be, well, they don't know what it's like,
right.
But now they're getting a taste of what it's like to be black, be a minority, you know, be gay, be a woman, whatever it is. Now they're starting to see, oh, this sucks, and they don't like it. And so, you know, incredible.
I think if our newsrooms were staffed with, I don't know much about how newsrooms hire people, but when I read these stories, again, going to the diner in the Midwest or whatever, to me that's like, I see a writer who's looking at people like they're in a zoo.
Yeah.
The New York Times or whatever, they need to hire people who come from these small towns. They won't look at it the same way. Yeah. They'll be a lot more blunt.
Yeah.
You know, I think. I mean,
no, I agree. I agree with you. You know, we're having look. If you were to tell me, because I remember watching Obama get elected, right? And again, I have my problems with Obama, the droning, the bank bailout,
sure.
you know, letting people down, whatever. But I mean, in comparison, give me a break. Like, I don't have to go into, you know.
Sure.
So.
No, I love Obama, knowing his flaws, but yeah, I mean, he's a great man. I mean, I think despite whatever mistakes are made, I think he will be looked at as, I think, a great president.
I agree.
Because of the way he held the course during this, what could have been, as we know, another Great Depression.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, these people have, it's like, again, no disrespect, but at this point, we don't need any more stories about the same group of people. We got it, right?
Right. Yeah, I like what you said about go to South LA, go to Alabama. Bill Maher had a great thing. I can't remember the filmmaker's name. I think her name is Pelosi, ironically.
Oh yeah, I think they're related.
Alexandra Pelosi.
I'm almost positive they're relatives. If not,
and he went to Mississippi. She went to Mississippi and interviewed those people, the people. Like she was doing that, and then she went to New York and did that. More of that, maybe.
Right.
But not like, let's go to the cafe and talk to the mom, you know, and the dad with the, you know, whatever.
Or how about a story? Those towns are full of people who hate Trump's guts. I know it. Where's that story?
Exactly.
Like, that would be way more interesting story.
Yeah, because we've got a purple country, right? Like, we don't have a red and blue country.
Right.
It's like Bill Maher talks about that again with Bill Maher. He goes throughout the country and provide. I mean, do you do stand up?
I've done a fair amount of it over the years. I have more of an improv background, but yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I look. Okay, so I wasn't stalking you, but yeah, after we talked, I was looking at your stuff. Some cool stuff. You know, it was cool.
No,
I know. No, but it was cool. Like I saw some of the stuff you did, and but I was just curious if you had done much stand up and been able to go throughout the country and kind of see, you know, what.
I would like to. I'm just curious. What did you see online? Any of the comedy videos or?
Yeah, I saw some interviews. I saw the movie about this is I was drinking beer one night and
nice.
After we'd spoken.
Nice.
The movie about like something about going a time machine thing.
Oh, Cocaine Time Machine.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's the best short film I've ever made. That was
very cool.
Yeah, we really. I mean, I really wanted to expand that thing. We tried. We had some meetings, but the best thing that one guy was like, it's just he's like, it's great other than the cocaine and the gun. I was like, that's the whole thing, you idiot. Like that's a very typical Hollywood story. And
yeah.
I
never did. I was the music side of it. Yeah. And that was a whole nother shit show. But you know, again, listen, it's a whole different world now than it was in the 70s and 80s when you could, you know, so
you had a little more time. Like I've done stand up music too. Like there was more time then to learn. You could couple albums, right?
Right.
Couple albums to grow, and then they're not going to cut you. Now it's like insta hit or
that's it. And then you don't even get any money from it. You know, you only get the money from touring, which is great. But it's like you don't sell records anymore, and that's kind of when I came into it. Was that right when it was switching, like in the early aughts, right? Like when everything was sort of going digital, and that's so.
To answer your question though, like what I'm hoping is with the show getting bigger, then I'll do a lot more stand up. The traditional route for stand up, I did some of it. I still will do it, but that traditional route just doesn't work for me. Like that's why I like podcasting, because it's. Right. I'm like, I could do the show. I could stand in line for 7 hours somewhere and like wait to get on stage, or I could reach people anywhere.
Right. No, it's great. I podcast, and we live in LA, so it's like half of my day, 3 hours is driving.
Is it really? Okay.
Well, because I live I live in Pedro.
Okay.
And I teach in Hermosa, so
okay.
It's a great drive. I go up the Palos Verdes Drive. It's beautiful. But you know what I drive by every single day?
Oh God, the Trump golf course.
The golf course.
I knew it.
And I don't know how that sign has not been destroyed. I don't know
amazing.
How, but I drive by it every day.
Okay, first of all, that's a movie. That's like the
It
opening
is.
of a movie about a guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good, that's every day I see that goddamn sign. And every day on my way home, I see that goddamn sign. I went for a while, I would flip it off, and then, because I have a Miata. So
Oh,
I'd
nice.
flip the thing off because I had the top down. And then I'd start thinking, there's a truck behind me. Like, are these
Right.
guys going to chase me down? I'm obviously being sarcastic, but I
Easy
started to
Rider.
think about that. Yeah, I started to think about that. Like, and then I just realized what a stupid thing it was to even give my energy to that. But
I
it's
know what you mean.
painful to drive by there. So in my drive every day, I put on podcasts, and it's better that it's easier than going out to a club to see somebody perform. So
Yeah, that's an interesting world. I think the only thing that ever bugged me about stand up is I like things that are permanent. A podcast is permanent, a movie. Stand up is a live medium that is a lot of fun. I mean, it really is a lot of fun, but it's like, unless somebody films it, it's there that night and then it's
that's it. Yeah,
out into space.
yeah, into the ether.
But like, I know this guy a guy I worked with on a TV show where he did it the way I kind of like it. He managed to get a show on the air and then became a stand-up, and he's a great
Okay.
stand-up.
Yeah.
So,
Which stand-up is that?
Skylar Stone.
I probably
I
sounds familiar.
made like a TV pilot with him that
Okay.
it got made. It was cool. So he had the show called Con that was on the air.
Okay, I think I've heard of that, or maybe I've heard you mention.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's like he's just a great salesman. So he was able to. It's very hard to do something like that. He sold himself to Comedy Central with not too much. I guess I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to say or talk about?
I guess the last one that I kind of was thinking about in regards to the teaching thing.
Yeah.
So during the election, 2016, I was showing one of my students. He was a big Trump supporter. Like, I think there were like 5 of them at this, so not a lot, or not, at least not a lot that admitted that they were. And this had to be like, I want to say September. So I'm trying to, I would debate with this kid a lot about the whole thing about how he lies, and they'd give the typical, all politicians lie, all that thing. So I showed him the video that Gavin Newsom made about what a stupid idea the wall would be. Did you ever see that? It was like cartoon Trump, and
I didn't, but it sounds good.
Yeah, well, it talks about how the farmers are going to get screwed. I mean, Mississippi tried this back a number of years ago. They tried kicking out. They created some really strong immigration reforms, and they basically lost $20 million. Their farms did, because they couldn't get anybody to do the farming. So anyway, so Gavin Newsom's talking about that, and he's talking about how the money it would cost to build it, and how easily it would be to just like get a ladder and crawl over there. And so I showed the student this. So he goes to this other teacher after he and I had this discussion, says, this other teacher's a big time Trump supporter.
Jesus.
I know, it's frightening.
Yeah, it is frightening.
And he walks in and he says, oh God, Fred the liberal with his propaganda about Trump. That she goes to the assistant director and says, Fred's spreading his liberal propaganda. They literally sent me this email, we need to talk to you, blah, 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 blah. And I went in and this is before the whole, because that's what led to that, actually. That meeting we had. So I went into the office and I was so pissed off. I was like, wait a minute. I showed a video of our lieutenant governor talking about a policy that would be stupid. How is that pushing liberal by? Anyway, so that kind of stuff, that went on. Again, it doesn't happen now. Now I am,
Yeah, you're good.
I'm like I hate to tell you, but I'm biased. I'm biased, like hardcore. But because it's the truth.
Everybody has a bias.
Of course.
Paul Krugman. I don't know if he made this up, but it's one of the greatest phrases. I'm going to remember it forever. Radical centrist.
Yeah.
I never heard anyone say that, but 3 weeks ago, and that I was like, that's it. That's what's been bugging me.
Yeah.
Radical. I get them too. Chris from Mueller Time calls them concern trolling.
Yeah.
It's like, they're all kind of the same. Like, no, they're really not. No, because one guy's like a Nazi, and then there's everybody else. Like, and I'm very concerned about that teacher that you mentioned, because so Trump makes fun of disabled people and women, and that person is teaching your children.
Teaching children.
That's frightening to me.
It's
not like I'm a fan of Paul Ryan. It's like, whatever, or I'm a fan of Ronald Reagan.
No, it's I'm a fan of Trump. That's what she reads Breitbart.
That's scary.
I mean,
That's
I get this information from one of my cohorts who's very progressive as well.
Yeah.
And so this woman actually reveals this stuff to her that like Breitbart is her news source.
Yeah.
That's where she gets her news. And she's teaching English.
How can my attitude with someone like that is, can they be trusted around black students?
No.
To that their bias won't even be unconscious.
Exactly.
Women, whatever.
I had a big meeting with her and two of the, not the assistant director, but like, I don't know, the outreach person. And I said, look, because there was a big problem. Like after that happened, I hated this woman. Like I was just livid. I was like, so we had this big meeting, and she basically lied, just lied about what she had said, lied about the things that she had done.
Because she got,
and she basically lied. I left. I said, you know what? You're gonna lie, and there's no need for us to have this conversation. It's like what you're talking about. When they do this, you're like, hey, see ya, good luck. You got conned. Good luck to you. And that's, but that's where we're at with this thing. So it's frightening. You're right.
You're telling me a Trump supporter lied? That's crazy.
Well, again, it goes back to what you and I talked about in the beginning. That is their only defense now. Is just they learned it from Trump. Oh, I'll just lie and deny. It's what Stone does, right? It's all these guys do.
Yeah.
So,
you can only reach so many people. That's what I believe in. Like, I'll try to reach anybody. I don't know if you saw that video on our page when the guy got into it with me on the street with the Trump supporter. It's on the YouTube.
Seen that.
This nut. I mean, it was a certifiable dude, and we had a little discussion. I filmed it
in LA.
Yeah, and it's on the YouTube page. But the reason I brought it up was that during that, never at once was I like, yeah, I'm gonna like convert this guy. I was like, no, I'm just gonna stand up for what just happened, and then life will go on for him, and we'll go on our separate ways. But I just feel like if the Democrats took that, they could win every election.
Yeah, I think it speaks to what I was talking about what they did in Italy. They're like, just ignore this guy. This guy's a lunatic. Let him dig his. They cannot get in the mud with this guy. I know that a little bit's gonna happen anyway, but they cannot get into the mud with this guy in this election, if he's even the guy, right? I mean, who knows what's gonna happen? But
yeah, I think it depends. Like I think you have to fight him, but I mean, I know what you mean though. Like you don't want to go too far.
Yeah.
But just one more example, and then I guess I'll probably end this thing. But like remember when he crept up on Hillary Clinton in that debate?
Oh, I was thinking about earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. If again, it's just hindsight. It's difficult when you're in those situations. No one knows what it's like except her. But I think if she had just turned around and said, "Will you back up?" Probably would have won the election.
Yeah, I think so. And that's amazing you brought that up. I literally was thinking about, because I think I was trying to picture if he would do that to Joe Biden, and he wouldn't. But I was trying to picture if he would, because he.
But whoever's on that stage is gonna, if he's there, they're gonna be facing some nonsense, and I hope they trust themselves. Sometimes go with your first instinct. Can you back up off me, please?
Yeah, that's different. What I'm talking about is all the garbage that he brings up, just the lies and all this stuff. I feel like
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just like don't state the facts of the situation. Don't even mention his stupid name. Don't just talk policy and facts.
Well, you know what you can do too. You can be the leader, and then that's why you have a staff of, frankly, mudslingers. Sometimes that you can have your own dirty trickster. I mean, it is what it is. You don't have to be the one.
Right.
Have somebody in the background doing that.
Yeah. Because I think you're right. I think Hillary Clinton, she let him get away with some stuff.
Yeah.
But she also said some stuff. I mean, she would have been a fine president. I would have absolutely no problem with her as president.
Of course. Yeah.
But sometimes when you call it like it is, it backfires. Like the deplorable thing, even though I totally agree with her and I would have said it too. Right. But I feel like it still backfired.
The mistake was, in my opinion, was not saying it, but then it was the pseudo apology. If you're going to say it, say it. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Look at these guys in Virginia. Just one more example. They are not going to, or Ralph Northam is not going to resign. And you know what? People moved on. There is a lesson there. As much as I don't agree with that, I think he should have. He did the Republican thing. He was just like, nope, I'm chilling.
Yeah. Well, he did, and also I don't propose to speak for African Americans at all, but many of them that I watched interviewed about it said, look, let's pay attention to what he's doing for African American, for the constituents. Let's pay attention to that.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I mean that's I heard that as well from some people. Well, Fred, is there anything else you want to tell the Mueller Time crew?
I just want to thank you guys. You guys are brilliant, and I'm so happy to have you on my drive, on everywhere, and keep doing what you're doing, man. You guys are patriots, and it's beautiful.
I look forward to doing this again. As I tell everyone on these, I'm going to stop this, and then we're going to talk more.
Okay, cool.
But thanks for coming on the show, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.